Asked, did I ever finish making that bow that I made? And I presume he's talking about that little mini bow, or as I'd like to say to everybody that's been teasing me about that from the day I started it, my bow that I made to scale. I'll increase the scale. Yes, I did finish it. I actually finished it as the walk finished. I then strung it with a piece of dental floss, and I managed to shoot a porcupine quill a good 15 yards across the DRC's common area. It's something that I tried to show off at length that evening, but to which never really made much of an impression on my teammates and my comrades. Jandre says he liked it though. So it did actually work. I then subsequently broke it by pulling it too hard. I tried to get the porcupine quill to fly straight across the DRC and broke the arms. But what it did show me was I had a critical design flaw. I tapered the bow too quickly, and it went too skinny too quick, and it allowed too much flex, and not at the end of the bow where it was supposed to be. So I'm glad that I did that in actual fact, and I will be making more bows, in actual fact upscaling them gradually from this size. For those of you who are just joining us, I made a bow for an elf or a dwarf about this big last week. I'll upscale it to one this big in the near future, and hopefully I'll make a full-size version before I get too old and grey and senile. But please feel free to carry on reminding me about these little endeavours I promise you and mostly never ever get to. Zach, while we make our way across quarantine clearings over here, good morning Zach, you've asked me how many years does it take to become a field guide, or how much schooling do you need to become a field guide? Zach, to become legal in this country you need about 3 months of schooling and 3 months of experience. To get the top qualifications in guiding, you need to study for about 15 years. So some of the top qualifications, if you don't stop studying and you don't take breaks in your 15 years, it'll take you 15 years to get some of the top qualifications. And by that I mean some of the special knowledge and skills guiding qualifications that you can achieve. You need thousands of hours of experience just to be eligible to write the exam, let alone get the qualification. And some of your tracking qualifications, in particular your senior tracking qualification, I've known some guys to take 9 years just to get the final qualification. And others who will spend their entire careers trying to get these qualifications. So no, it can be a lifelong pursuit, and the nice thing is that there's this range of qualifications that you can achieve throughout your guiding career if you choose to take this. And so studying is pretty much never ending. And then of course the qualification is really just the beginning part of whatever you're studying. I mean, it's just the entry exam into and to open up your eyes into this field. You never really stop here. I mean, there's always some new egg to look at, or some new insect that you don't understand anything of, some new behavioral pattern in a mammal here that you've never seen before. So you pretty much never stop learning. Quite recently, I'd like to say that our biggest learning curve was going into the Masai Mara. Most of the guiding books that we study from out here are based on studies that were done in East Africa in between the 1960s and the 1990s. And when we got there, we realized, and this is, I mean, we've been looking at animal behavior here and the way things are done on the backs of those books for the last 20 odd years. And when we got to the Masai Mara, we realized that not only did things change from what was depicted in these books, but things were very different to what we expect here. There was a different way to the way the animals behaved there. In particular reference here to lion and hyena activity. So, you know, in conclusion, before I end up speaking myself into circles over here, and I'd like to say that you never really stop learning out here. You know, there's always something new, and there's always a new book being written, and there's always some new information that's being gathered from somewhere. But anyway, on that point, we're going to send you back to Jamie, I think, who's now done what she needed to do and has an update for you.
Perfect timing. We have nearly arrived on Buffel's hook cut line. I hope everybody's keeping fingers and toes crossed, because the leopard is currently 200 meters away from our boundary, which is roughly 200 yards, just to the north of our boundary. Tax is with him, keeping me updated. turns out, will you believe this, it's not Impala. After that mad rush, it's not Impala. It looks like it might be Tingana, but it's still not 100% clarified. So let's go through and see if we can see which individual this is. A crazy morning. Obviously Tingana moved into that area last night, if it is him. Impala was in that spot. Now Impala is the dominant male leopard in the north, but he is quite a bit older than Tingana. Tingana is massive. He's bigger than Impala, but they sort of seem to have come to a truce in that Buffels Hoek boundary is generally the line. But Tingana has been known to chase Impala right into Manuletti on the odd occasion. So the question is, who have we got here? I'm just listening to update, sorry. It sounds like he's just stumbled upon a herd of Impala. That's such an interesting coincidence that Viola Orhart happened to ask that question. VM and I were just talking about that now. Now, Viola would like to know how far leopards can see. Sorry, Viola. Just listening for the updates on where the leopard's going. What? I don't understand. Sorry, Viola. Yeah, me too. Frantic Impala. Tex is saying the Impala is stuck in the tree. I don't know if that means Tingana's caught him. Let's just go back a little. They are furious. This leopard is so close to us. Sorry, Viola, I haven't forgotten you. I promise you I'm going to answer your question in a moment. With that amount of alarm calls, he's either caught one or he's been spotted and that's it. Then he's going to have to move on because there's no way he's going to manage to hunt anything with everything being alert to his presence. I think it's actually better to be further back so at least we can look down into the road. A little bit forward. I can actually see Taxon. Oh, so close. There, yes. Perfect. Well done, VM. Looking nervous. I can still hear them alarm calling. And Viola, I'm going to answer your question I'm just going to put it on the back burner for one moment. Just while we wait to figure this one out. And just keep checking behind me as well in case he comes across that side. You can see they're all looking north, which isn't great for us. And now all racing off. I'm very confused. I'm going to have to find out from Tax afterwards what he was talking about, because he just started laughing and said, okay, it's gone. And I assume that means the Impala managed to free itself. I think it did actually get stuck in a tree. I think the Impala, from what I can hear on the game drive comms, I'm now very confused.
Sounds like all hell's breaking loose, doesn't it?
I know. Now they're saying it's Djuma. Oh dear. This has all gone wrong. It was worth it though. And there's still a chance he might come sprinting across the road if it's Djuma. Tax, sorry, just to confirm, you no longer have visual of that animal. Okay, copy that, thank you. Mobile or static? Sorry, everybody. Okay, copy that. Thank you. I'm on the cut line now. I've got visual of those, Marla. I'm just going to stand by here for a little bit. Okay, now we have some clarity. It's not Djuma. He meant the Impala Djuma runs away. So here's what happened. The leopard was on its way south towards the boundary and changed his direction because the Impala had started alarm calling. The Impala were alarm calling because an Impala had managed to get itself stuck on a branch. I'm not 100% sure how. I don't know whether it tried to jump or maybe it was thrashing and it got its horns caught. You know how the rams thrash the bushes? The leopard is still there. He went to go and try and catch the Impala that was stuck in the tree, somehow missed, and the Impala managed to break free and has made a very lucky escape. We're looking at probably some of the luckiest Impala in the whole of the northern Sabi Sand, because how an Impala manages to get stuck in a tree and still manage to escape a leopard may be unluckiest and luckiest at the same time. So that's what's happening there. And in this brief moment of peace, Attack says that the leopard is still sniffing around that area. There's no way he is going to be able to catch those Impala now. Not a chance. Not with them being as panicky and on alert as they are, and the fact that they've seen him. So he's lost his element of surprise, and he's lost the Impala that was stuck in the tree. Now there's a good chance he's going to keep coming across in this direction. So what I'm going to do, because I've got a fix on these Impala now, is I'm going to just move a little bit further back. And while we do, we can answer poor Viola's question, which got put on the back burner temporarily. So in terms of leopard eyesight, VM and myself were just talking about that, which is why it's so uncanny that you happen to ask that exact question. When we talk about the fact that domestic cats are somewhat short-sighted, and they've got quite a limited field of vision in front of them. And we were wondering about leopards and how their vision the way that their vision might be geared. So the vision of predators is not as good as a human being's. They cannot see as far and they cannot see in as much detail. This Waterbuck is still here. But they are very much attuned to movement. Leopards can see as well in the dark as they can see during the day. The only difference is, of course, that at night there will be no color vision at all. The cells in their eyes will not be able to, the light reflected will not be able to reveal colors. So predators do have limited color vision, not as good as primates, as human beings, but they do have limited color vision. And in terms of distance, I actually don't know what distance a leopard or a lion is able to see. I mean, I've seen them spot movement at easily 200 meters, but how much detail they see is a different story. How close the prey has to be for them to gauge well what that prey is going to do. Hello, Mr. Waterbuck. You must be totally befuddled as to what on earth is going on. Come on, leopard. I've done a mad rush all the way here. Please, Tingana. Come this side. Come and join us here. I can still hear the Impala alarm calling. Shame, they have had a very bad day. James Bear, speaking of the Imvula-Tingana confusion that we've just experienced, and while we look for our leopard as it makes its way out, I know that Stef is just sorting something out on bushwalk, so he's heading back to camp for now, so we'll just stick here and wait patiently. James, you wanted to know what's happening with Imvula and, what happens with an old male leopard that is no longer able to compete for a territory? Will they just wander from territory to territory in the hope of finding a vacuum? What have you seen, Waterbuck? Keep hoping. Shame. This Waterbuck's so unsettled now. Sorry, James. It's Waterbuck's so unsettled it knows that the wind is howling, it can't smell, it doesn't know what the Impala are shouting at. It could be a lion. Yeah, better safe than sorry, I think. I think that was a wise decision, Mr. Waterbuck. Not that Tingana would probably go for a Waterbuck that size, but you never know. So James, what will happen with an old male leopard becomes what's known as a dispersal male. So essentially they go and they do what young males do, which is move from place to place, just trying to avoid the attentions of the dominant male of the area. It's actually a little bit further back in this direction. Come on, Tingana. I think we might not get lucky here. I was hopeful, but I was only so long. I can sit here for. Panicked Impala racing off. Okay, we'll just sit here for a little bit longer in the hope that this leopard does come south. We're talking about dispersal leopards and the fact that once they do get older, they will, sorry, just listening to Game Drive comms again, they will disperse. They will move from place to place to place and attempt to find a spot that does have a vacuum. What you'll often find with old male leopards is they tend to hang around lodges, interestingly enough, looking for any kind of, they often scavenge, especially when their teeth start to fail them and their muscles in terms of hunting. Actually, that applies to females as well as males. And they'll spend a lot of time doing that. So it is just a matter of staying under the radar. They no longer patrol territories, they do not call, they do not scrape or urine scent mark. They just try to be as subtle as possible. They basically revert back to the behavior that they would have demonstrated when they were little, when they just dispersed away from their mothers. And just to let you know, we've still got a little while to go, but there will be a school drive for some of the children from South Africa, a school in Johannesburg, in the next half an hour or so. I'm not quite sure what the time, the next 40 minutes or so. So just for our regular viewers, you know the drill. We chat to school kids and we take the questions from school kids. It's always great fun and of course of vital importance, since the guardians of the future of conservation will be the next generation. So it's something wonderful that I really enjoy doing. So just to let you know, there will be a school drive. Oh dear. I'm sorry, everybody. We raced off in this direction. Came so close and yet so far. It's a strange feeling of deja vu. Exactly the same thing happened yesterday afternoon, except it was in Imvula and not Tingana. Oh well. Worth a try. Anna Marie, I promise you I haven't forgotten about Anderson. There's no way on earth I would forget about Anderson, and in fact, I'm just busy making a decision about what we should do. And I think we should leave this. Taxon there's no point, we don't have anything to keep ourselves distracted here. And because we're only one vehicle, we can't really wait. I think we should go back to Anderson. Jump on the lineup and go and see him. And And Taxon will hopefully keep us updated about what this leopard does. Maybe he'll come and cross back onto Djuma and we can see him later on the sunset safari. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I have not forgotten at all. I've just been not killing time, I've just been waiting for all the other vehicles to pass through Anderson. Hopefully, I'm actually really hoping that'll mean we get to spend some serious quality time with him in an area that's generally quite busy. But it's time to go. Time to move off and go off in search of Anderson. It's finally time for me to see the leopard that has supposedly broken all the records. Oh, hello. With a minor roadblock in between. Herd of elephants has just come dashing out. They too will have heard the alarm calls, and they too will be quite nervous. It's windy today. Hello, girl. It's alright. It's okay. You can see they're unsettled. We'll stop here. We'll give them plenty of space as the biggest female puts herself between us and the herd to make sure that she keeps them safe before bringing up the rear and shepherding all the youngsters off to safety. Elephants are nervous creatures. There's something, especially in the wind, and even the presence of predators that in all likelihood are of absolutely no threat to them will provoke some kind of a response, whether it's nervous running away or an aggressive chasing response from them. They do not like the presence of predators, and they definitely do not like wind. And I've noticed more and more unsettled elephant herds. What's interesting, and the reason why we're seeing so many elephants, having now been through to the western side, other side of Arathusa, they didn't have any rain. We had rain. It's green here. Just imagine what this place would look like if we hadn't had rain. That's what it looks like on that side. It's completely barren. So what that means is that these animals are pushed together into the places that have had rain, that have got some greenery. And that's why we're seeing so many buffalo herds. We're seeing so many elephants. This is one of the few places that has available food. The southern Sabi Sand has had no rain at all. So just imagine at our worst point, just before it did rain, they haven't had any rain since then. It's a terrifying thought. And that's why we've got so many elephants, and they're put under pressure. They're stuck together in quite a limited areas, competition for food, competition for water, constantly getting into each other's space. And that's why the animals have been so unsettled. I don't want to risk losing our signal by going all the way around to the gate. So we'll cut through, we'll take a shortcut through Sandy Patch. It does mean we have to wait for the elephant crossing on our way to the Anderson Mail. Michael says this will be his first time seeing the Anderson Mail and that he's super excited. I'm super excited too. It's my first time as well, Michael. Definitely an appealing prospect. Okay, let's just give these airlies a little bit of space on this windy day. Sweet. Reaching out to the youngster briefly there. You can see they're confused. They don't actually quite know where to go. And very, very nervous. When you see elephants pushing through vegetation, rather than... Oh, they're actually having a bit of a scuffle there. Rather than using the regular game paths, when they actually shove through vegetation like that en masse, it's usually a very clear sign that they are in a hurry to be wherever they want to be or get away from where they are. You can see the wind is really starting to howl again, which is relatively standard, I guess. I don't know, I've never lived in such a windy place in the bush. This month has been incredible. Okay, I think let's shuffle past them. They're not comfortable. I don't want to stop for too long and make them feel even more uncomfortable. So we'll leave our Ellies for now and we'll let them get on with their day-to-day business. They are also moving into some very dense vegetation. I think let's get ahead. I also want to go and see if the Anderson male really is as big as everybody says he is. I assume he must be. Everybody says it. But it's not a case of the I caught a big fish kind of scenario where it gets exaggerated over time. Vim, you've seen Anderson, haven't you? You have. Ah, you see. I feel like I'm one of the only remaining people to have not seen him. And we're definitely going there. We've still got a very long way to go though. We've got to get to the southern end of Arathusa, so it could take us a while. We'll have to stop for things along the way to keep things entertaining. Tax, I'm going to be leaving that area and make my way to the west. Copy that, thank you. I'll check in with the other guys a bit later. Okay, for now Tingana has gone flat and settled down, so he's enjoying a little bit of rest, so he's not come through to the boundary, so it's a good thing we made the call we did. In the meantime, while we race through to Arathusa, let's head across to Stef, who I think has got things back up and running once again.
Alright, you are back with us and it's a bit chaotic over here. We've come live like right at the DRC at the time when all the staff here at Djuma get going for the morning. But I really wanted to show you something quite interesting, and it's why we don't drive over dung summertime. It just look quite nice, so that's why I want to show you. Here is the tracks of a dung beetle. This is the tracks of a dung beetle. And when you follow the line of the dung beetle, you can see that some dung at the end of it. And this is the terminal point of those tracks. This is where the tracks stop. The other tracks are, the tracks stop. And when you flip this over, transport this morning. Poor dung beetle got the staff transport this, but it's just such an interesting thing. Rolling his dung ball, didn't quite see whoever was driving it, didn't quite see it, and drove over it. And that's why we try and avoid over here, while we try and avoid the dung. But isn't that just the interesting thing? Tracks of the dung beetle, squashed dung ball, and then when I turned it over, boom, the dung beetle that was underneath it. Poor thing. Alrighty, let's carry on with our walk. Create some distance from the DRC and all its hammering in it. I'll tell you, it is quite an experience doing a segment for you from here. We are busy renovating everything around the DRC, and so it's just a constant din of hammering, angle grinding, shouting, mixing of spades, laughing, joking around, radios blaring out the most. I suppose it's a cacophony of different.
perfect timing. We have nearly arrived on Buffel's cut line. I hope everybody's
dung. So one male will defecate and urinate on a spot. The next male, in a form of dominance, will come and urinate and defecate on top of that male's dung pile, and it's sort of like this one-upmanship that has no point except for to an Impala, really, and looks quite comical because they'll have turns defecating on one another's dung pile, and this creates this midden. Not to say that females don't come and use middens. They will absolutely use a midden, and but they tend to be not quite as compelled or compulsive one on top of another until well, basically until they've formed this big pile here. But we are going to carry on across this open patch here in this gale, and we're going to send you over to Jamie, who's got an update for you.
good. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Hi. Sorry, everybody. Just bear with me one moment. Sorry.
Space at the Impala.
Oh, awesome.
There's one
Thanks.
fuzzy on the bumper here at Safari Driver.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And still a lineup. Okay, perfect. Thanks very much. Cheers. Hi. Sorry, everybody. That was awkward timing. I just had to stop and get an update from Elephant Plains about what's happening out here. So, apparently there's still a massive lineup for Anderson. Now, as far as I know, Anderson is a 2-vehicle sighting. The reason behind that is he can get... He's not fully comfortable with vehicles, so he has to be treated with a very gentle approach, which means that only 2 vehicles at one time will go through and see him. But just bear with me one moment, sorry, I have to do this. I have to just jump onto the Game Drive channel. Morning stations in the west. I was wondering if I could come into the Ngala lock. Copy that, thanks very much. Well, we might not be able to get into Anderson just yet, but we can go into the Lions. Isn't that exciting? Okie dokie. Let's go and find out what's happening. Must be the Tsalalas again. Wonderful, I haven't seen them in forever. And I think they are somewhere here. I hope they are somewhere here. Apparently there's one of them here on a kill somewhere here, and then there's 4 of them at the waterhole. I'm not quite sure which one I'm going into. We'll figure it out as we go along. I think let's put ourselves as close as possible to Anderson. So let's go to the ones at the waterhole. Oh, Arathusa has been exciting over the last 2 days. 2 animal sightings that we have not had a chance to see in a very, very long time. I last saw the Tsalalas. I'm so excited to see how big the males have got, because the last time I saw the Tsalalas was when they were scavenging off the buffalo kill near Red Dam. That must have been October last. That's a year ago. That's terrifying. It was when Karula was mating with Tingana in that area. And they were scavenging off a buffalo carcass, and then the Tsalalas found them. And Tingana and Karula were so caught up in each other that they didn't realize that the lions were there. And the young males, because young male lions in particular are very, very aggressive in terms of trying to pursue other predators. It's a competition thing. It's also a youth thing. They're still learning, they're learning their boundaries, and they ended up chasing Karula right up to the top of a knobthorn. We never found out where Tingana went. He was obviously fine. He's alive and well to this day, thank goodness. But it was a very narrow miss. Actually, that goes back to the question we were speaking about earlier, about seeing lions hunt other predators, hunting leopards. Hold on, everybody. I know this is minor compared to the weather that some of you in the States have been experiencing, but it's very windy on this airstrip. going to cling onto my earpiece so that I can hear what's going on. No point in listening to the sounds of the bush because I'm not going to hear any of them. Shame. And the one thing I have noticed is that the animals are all helter-skelter at the moment. All of the prey species are just dashing about manically, trying to escape the wind, and also so nervous. I wonder what this wind is bringing. I can say one thing though, I would not want to land a plane on this airstrip today. At least it's not gusting. At least it's one standard direction. There's a lion! They're playing! This is awesome! I can't hear anything, but the lions are playing on the airstrip. There's another one over there. Look how big they've got. Hello. Still nervous little boys. Look at that face. My goodness, but they've grown. The 3 young males of the Tsalala Pride. Last time I saw them, I think they were only about 1.5 years old. The others are on the opposite side of the airstrip. There's one female. Must be the sub-adult because I can see a tail. One female. And then the 2 males off to the right of her. A little bit further, there we go. There's the 2 other males. They were playing, they were the ones that were playing, but unfortunately they've settled down now. It's very common to see animals around this airstrip, which brings us to David in Napa. You know which animal particularly likes to lie on the airstrip, David, is lions. Because the tarmac heats up and it's nice and warm. Although on a day like today the wind is going to mitigate that effect, but they do, especially in winter, like to go and sit on the tarmac of runways. Now yes, lots of the animals will come through and approach the airstrip. It's nice and open. Now the one thing about tar is that it is slippery. So for the predators, this is actually an ideal hunting ground. The lions of the Kruger National Park have learned to use the tar roads as a hunting technique by chasing the animals towards them. The animals can't get traction on the tar itself and they start to slip. Hello, lions. It's good to see this pride again after all they've been through. Morning, everybody. Hello. Good, thanks. How's it? Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Cool. Thanks very much. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy. Oh, here's the question. I suspect that the young male is going to come through to this side. He's probably going to go and rejoin them. I wonder if it's not worth going all the way around the airstrip and back out the other side. Let's settle with this spot for now and just wait and see what they do. I'm also thinking just in terms of getting a little bit closer to the tree line to mitigate the effect of the wind slightly. I'm not sure what it's sounding like on my microphone. I know what it's sounding like in my ears. Okay, bear with me one moment. I'm just going to put my second jacket on. This morning I went out in shorts and a t-shirt. It's changed dramatically. Oh, I nearly whacked the camera. VM's doing the same thing. It's suddenly freezing. Now they're probably on their way towards that buffalo kill. There's a buffalo kill just behind me. Okay. Right. I can't drive across the airstrip. It's not allowed, just by the way. Which is an interesting thing, but it is... Oh, hold on. Never mind. I think the lion's about to make the decision for us. Perfect. I'm glad that's the decision it's made. I can't believe these are the same lions. It's amazing when time goes past and you don't see them for ages at a time. Then what a difference a couple of months or a year will make in terms of growth. They're actually looking really sturdy. The last time I saw them, they were still running scared as a result of the Birmingham Boy takeover. So just to give you a little bit of background for our newer viewers on this Lion Pride, I'm going to go forward slightly so that we're in line, but without blocking him. Hello, my boys. I'm still nervous a little bit. Okay. Important thing with slightly nervous animals is to just give them plenty of space and let them choose whether or not to approach you. Hello, it's alright. Look at that belly. My goodness gracious. Whatever else has happened in their lives, they are not going hungry. So, of course on Djuma, when the Birmingham boys took over from the Matimba males, we were caught up in... Is that the one with the injury on his back? I think it is. One of them must have a massive scar somewhere on his hip from the conflict that he came into on Londolozi. So we were caught up in the drama of the takeover between the Birmingham boys and the Matimbas. The Birmingham boys chased the Matimbas south and took over their territory on Djuma and Torchwood and so on. And we were very much wrapped up in the chaos that it caused with our Lion Prides. Oh, we're going to see a nice moment here. He's going to go up and greet his brother, who is where? Now I've lost track. Yeah, he is. He's going to go and greet his brother. That's going to be lovely. Do the head rub. These boys, of course, will form their own coalition one day. The one thing that we then started to learn about, or started to experience, was actually the knock-on effect that the Matimba's displacement had on the rest of the lions. The Matimbas moved south into Londolozi, into the northern part of Londolozi, and ultimately ended up establishing themselves there. Oh, okay. Fine. Prove me wrong. Your buddy's here. I thought he was going to go up and greet them. Now, the Matimbas were a massive threat to these three young males, and as a result, the tailless lioness, who's not here at the moment, she must be the one with the kill, the tailless lioness actually led them north into Arathusa, and they were running scared. They were terrified. And of course they had the Birmingham boys. They were stuck between a rock and a hard place. The Birmingham boys on the one side, and they did actually have a narrow escape from the Birmingham boys at least once. And then the Matimba males further to the south. But somehow the tailless lioness has managed to keep the three of them safe through one of the most turbulent times in their young history. And it's impressive to see just how much they've grown. When they first arrived, one of the Tsalala young males had a massive wound on his hip. And if I remember correctly, it was his back right hip. He was always slightly slower than the other two. Where are you off to? I think they're on their way to that buffalo kill. Here comes the young lioness. She's on her way as well. They've definitely had a meal last night. They are bulging at the seams, so to speak. Here she goes, strolling forward. She's also grown since I last saw her. You can see that slightly cautious look across at us. These lions are still young, and they have had a very turbulent history. I'm very glad that you're all thrilled to see them. As I said, I'm waiting in line to see the Anderson male. Just a reminder that we will be having a school drive in the not too distant future, but I promise you I'm going to do my utmost to get us to that sighting as well. We just have to wait our turn. I'm going to stick with these lines for a little bit. In the meantime, let's head across to Stef, who is back up and running once again.
Well, hopefully not running just yet, even though these buffaloes seem to be quite close to us at the moment. I just have to say thank you at this point to Saberia Zumi, who gave us the warning that these two buffalo bulls were heading in our direction while we were walking across quarantine. So just thank you, Saberia, for looking after us like that. It was because of your warning that we looked up and we saw these buffalo on the horizon walking up towards us. Now, what's remarkable about these two buffalo, and I mean, buffalo on foot are definitely something to be remarked upon, because they do pose probably one of our most common threats out here. That and elephant herds at this time of the year are what we're walking into most frequently at the moment. And definitely two old bull buffalo like this would have an association with one another. They'd have a bond with one another, very similar to brothers or to friends, to close friends. And just the one on the right-hand side is just a remarkable buffalo. He is just absolutely enormous. While Jean-Andre moves in and zooms into him, I'm just going to move backwards a little bit. But why I say that that buffalo is remarkable, it's because of that deep horn that you can see. Standing side on to us like he is at the moment, you can see, and there he faces us. Just have a look at that boss. Now by boss I mean the top part of his horn and the curl of his horn. Have a look at how extraordinarily big that is. It's just a really massive buffalo, that. I'm just having a look at them with my binoculars at the moment as well, and just the deep curl that they have. Now everybody has different opinions as to what looks good from a buffalo's point of view, what type of horn looks good. For me, I enjoy a very wide set of horns, and the deeper they are curved, basically the prettier it is for me. So I enjoy that very deep, wide curve. Others enjoy this big boss and then this shallow curve, but I suppose it's all up to your opinion. But at this particular point, I'd like to say hello to the Holy Rosary School in Johannesburg, to the grade 2 class. You are speaking to Stef, and we're on bushwalk, we're on foot, and yes, we do have nothing else around us. It's just us on foot, and you with Jamie as well today. She is bouncing around in a Land Rover all over the property today, and we've got a couple of surprises in store for you over the next couple of minutes. Now, one of the things that we do have for you are those buffalo. Now, I know you may have joined and seen already, but remember, the big five are made up of buffalo, elephant, rhinoceros, lion, and leopard. Alright, all of those things. Buffalo, elephant, rhinoceros, lion, and leopard. And why they're called the big five is because they're the 5 most dangerous animals to approach on foot. And because we're on foot, it's one of the things that we have to look out for when we are walking around over here. We don't have a car around us. We don't have a magic helicopter to call and come pick us up when we're in trouble. We've literally just got our wits. We've got an ash bag, which is this little thing here, which allows me to test wind direction. There we go. And we've got some binoculars. That's all we have at the moment. Oh, we also have a Herbie. There he is over there. He doesn't know we're looking at him. We're going to keep it a bit of a secret at the moment. The wind is blowing, so he can't hear what I'm saying. And he's busy looking for stuff on the ground, obviously. He hasn't got his head up at the moment. Caught him out. Right. And that's all it is. It's just the 3 of us. And Jean-Andre, of course, who, no matter how much I ask, won't show himself to you. All right. But Jamie has got a surprise for you wherever she is at the moment. And we'll catch up with you at the end of this big open area. See you later.
I do indeed have a fantastic surprise for you, but before we go into that, I'd just like to say a very warm welcome to all of you watching at Holy Rosary School. My name is Jamie, behind me sits Viam, and we are right now sitting with an amazing pride of lions called the Tsalala Pride. Look at this amazing scene in front of us. So Stef was talking about the Big Five. Well, here we go. We have a member of the Big Five, the lions. 1 female and 3 young males with very, very round bellies. They've obviously had a massive dinner last night, and they're now resting in the shade of the trees. Look at those massive paws. Oh, looking up. There we go. Head is up. Now, these are young males. They are just teenagers. As you can see, they still haven't quite grown their full manes. So they're like teenage boys growing their beards. They are just starting to grow them. They haven't quite filled out. They haven't got a full mane of hair. They've still got lots and lots of growing to do. Bear with me one moment. Somebody's just going to squeeze past to go and have a look at the lions. Now do remember that because this is happening right here in the middle of the African bush, this means that you can ask us any questions that you would like to about these amazing animals. And lions really are amazing. We're very lucky in what we do in that we get to spend lots and lots of time with them. Now, Isabella, that's a fantastic question that you've started out with. We've been speaking about the drought and the fact that South Africa is in the grips of a terrible drought, which I'm sure you know. Now, you want to know, how has it affected the animals? That's a very good question, because we're actually looking at one of the animals that the drought has actually helped. So for all of our predators out here, the drought's actually been a positive thing for them for now. That's only temporary, but for now, all of the animals that the lions prey upon are forced to walk to water holes, which means that the predators just have to hang out around the water holes and they can catch themselves some dinner. They don't have to go too far to look for them, which is why our lions look so round-bellied. They're so full of food. And that applies across the board to leopards and other predators as well. And because the animals, the prey species like the buffalo and the antelope, aren't as strong as they might otherwise be, it makes them easier for the predators to catch. Now that's the lions and the predators. The herbivores out here have really, really struggled, and it's been difficult to witness. There's been hardly any grass for them to eat, so for animals like buffalo that only really eat grass, they have become very thin and struggling particularly hard to survive. And a few of them have actually died. I'm sorry everybody, I do have to just hop onto the Game Drive channel. Hold on, my opportunity's gone. I need to just chat to some of the other guides as well. So very, very good question from you, Isabella, about what the drought, what kind of effect the drought has had. And also bear in mind, it's not just about the mammal species. We're seeing far less reptiles, far less insect life, and that in turn means that even things like the birds haven't necessarily managed to feed themselves properly, so they haven't managed to raise as many successful chicks. So the drought has a massive, massive knock-on effect with the rest of the animals out here, and it's been tough to watch. Things like to see thin elephants and thin buffalo is a struggle. Sorry everybody, just standing by. Copy that, thanks very much. Sorry everybody, I just needed to chat to the other guides because I've actually got so many surprises lined up for you that we might have to leave the lions relatively soon. All kinds of exciting things happening. Now, Mrs. Pistorius, you wanted to know what happened to that lion's tooth. I didn't see. VM, did you see what? Is he missing a canine? Ah, okay. Sorry, Mrs. Pistorius. I'm so busy concentrating on everything around me. I didn't see that. So he's missing a canine. I don't know. There could be a couple of reasons behind that. It might have been that he was... These young males have actually had a very difficult young life. They were chased around by two different dominant groups of male lions and narrowly escaped death a few times. It's a really tough life being a male lion out here. It could have been that he lost it in a fight, but most likely he lost it while he was hunting. Hunting is a dangerous thing for these animals, particularly hunting buffalo that can weigh up to 900 kilograms and can kick and fight back. And occasionally lions do lose teeth. That being said, you might even find that he had a crack or an infection or something. Kyra Dames, you wanted to know why the lions are breathing so deeply. And the answer is because they're so incredibly full. They've got such full bellies, and all predators will do that. And I'm sorry, we are going to have to leave the lions now. I know we've only just got here, but we'll just finish off with this question. They've got very, very full bellies because all predators will eat as much as they can, as quickly as they can. So that means that the stomach swells up and there's hardly any room for the lion's lungs. So they start to take shorter breaths because they can barely breathe. So they have to pant, and also that much meat production and digesting actually does really produce a huge amount of heat, which for them makes them very, very hot. And lions they can't sweat like we sweat, so they're panting to help to keep themselves cool. I'm sorry to leave the lions so soon. I know it's exciting, but I promise you, you're going to like the surprise that I have in store for you. So while I make my way in that direction, let's head back across to Stef, who has the most amazing information for you.
Thanks, Jamie. I can't quite compete with the lions that you've been on at the moment, except for this. And I think this is very important for you to try at the moment. This is a piece of variable bush willow. A variable bush willow is a type of tree that we have out here. And you can see that something has been eating its bark off. Now that something is an elephant. Yes, an elephant has broken off this piece of branch and put it in his mouth, like this, and then using his bottom teeth, rolled this piece of wood in his mouth, moving his bottom jaw from side to side to rub off all of this bark, and then when he got to the end here, spat it out on the floor. But what I do want you to do is have a look at this. This is how thick this piece of wood is. Now it's about as thick as my arm. And so what I want you to do at school is take your hands, put your fingers together like this, and then put them around your leg. Here. There. That is about as thick as this. And then stick this branch as thick as your leg that you've just had now between your fingers into his mouth, and then using his teeth rub off bark that's that thick, thicker as almost as your finger. Isn't that incredible? Hey, elephants are strong, hey? They are also the biggest. Alright, we got a bit of a black screen I heard over there. We're having a bit of an issue with our backpack today. It's what happens when you come live from the middle of the Kruger National Park like we are at the moment, and every now and again we have these what we call little glitches or gremlins, and these gremlins seem to be eating our picture from time to time and it goes black. So don't get too scared if it happens again. It's been happening the whole morning. We're used to it, and on top of it as well. Isn't that incredible though, how strong that elephant is? Can come up to a tree like this, break it, this is what he did over here, break it, and probably used his tusk, put his tusk in there, and then his trunk over the top, and then bang, and snapped it off, and then just shoveled it into his mouth. And they'll do that for about 200 kilograms a day. So a big male elephant, someone that was strong enough to break this particular branch off, eats 200 kilograms a day. Now 200 kilograms, what I want you to do is ask your teacher how much you weigh on average. Probably now in grade 2, how old are you now, 9 or 10, you're probably weighing about 30 kilograms, maybe 35 kilograms I would imagine. So 30 kilograms, that would mean that 8 of you together is what an elephant eats every single day. Isn't that incredible? 6 to 8 of you every single day is what an elephant has to eat to stay healthy. Definitely won't fit in your lunchbox, hey? I don't think so, no. Won't fit in your lunchbox, won't fit in mine either. Let's carry on with this walk. We see in a day, and that's actually a very, very good question, because there are different places in Africa where your chances of seeing more animals or less animals happen. Now in an area park, there are on average 10 head of animals, 10 animals per hectare. So a hectare is 2 of your soccer fields put next to each other. 2 soccer fields next to each other. In the Kruger National Park, the average is 10 animals per hectare. That's what the average is in the Kruger National Park. In other places in Africa, like East Africa, the Serengeti or the Masai Mara, in a place like, well, the Ngorongoro crater, for lack of a better description, have up to 100 animals in the same 2 soccer fields. 100 animals, so 10 times the amount of animals that we have in the Kruger National Park. So that's to answer your question broadly. How many animals do I see on a day though? We don't get very far. We walk anywhere from about 3 to about 10 miles a walk, and on that, if we see about, I don't know, Jean-Andre, what do we see a lot of? If we see a lot of impala or a lot of buffalo or a lot of elephant, we can see up to 50 animals in a walk, but generally we only see between 5 and 10 animals on a walk if we're lucky. Of course, with the way that we walk through this bush, and Jean-Andre's got a backpack on that looks a little bit like mine, only about double the size and with a huge aerial at the top, we sometimes make a bit of noise while we're walking through the bush, and that can scare the animals away. Don't forget, they've got big ears and big eyes and can smell very, very good. Nokia, good morning Nokia. You've just asked me, do animals cry if they get hurt? Ooh, that's a good question. How am I going to answer that? Yes, they do cry, but they don't cry tears like we cry. I would imagine that they get sore. Everyone feels pain. And when you feel pain, it depends on the level of pain that you feel, you'll do different things. It'll change your normal behavior. For you and me, we have tears that run down our face and we cry and we make a big noise, and that's because we're creating attention. We're drawing attention to ourselves. We want our mommies and daddies to come up and give us a plaster and hold us nice and tight, and it's because we're a social group of animals. For things like lion and leopard, they don't cry, they don't make a lot of noise because they don't want to draw attention to themselves, but depending on how sore they are, they might retract, they might go and hide. And it's not uncommon to find animals that are very sore lying up underneath bushes just like this, and they will lie there and they will get better. Now they don't have people that feed them. Of course, we're in the Kruger National Park. We don't help animals that are, well, we don't help most animals. I'm not going to say we don't help animals. We do, of course, help animals. That's what vets do. But generally speaking, we won't help an animal that can help itself. And animals will come and lie up in the shade, hidden away, and they will get better. They'll wait for Mother Nature to help and their bodies to help mend one another. But they don't cry like we do. We only cry because we are social species, and social species like to be held and comforted. And so no. So I hope that answered your question, a yes and no question. Alright, now I was going to climb that tree, but I see it's a little bit beyond me at the moment. That is a marula tree. But because of that, and because Jamie has finally arrived, I think, at her surprise for you, we're going to send you over to Jamie and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
I'm still trying to find your surprise. I don't know exactly where it is, but I'm hoping it's somewhere along this road. It is a very special surprise, and it's actually the first time that I've seen this particular surprise. So bear with me, because I'm just going to try and concentrate on searching for him. We're almost at the end of the road, which is making me slightly nervous that I've missed something somewhere along the line. Let's keep checking carefully. You can help me look, actually. I'm not going to tell you what we're looking for, though, but let's see if we can all look together. Aha! I think I've spotted your surprise. I hope you're all very, very excited. Now, with this particular animal, it's really very shy, so we're going to have to be nice and quiet as we go in. We keep our voices down and whisper. Let's go in and see where your surprise is. I can see some people there. Some of the other people perhaps some of you have managed to go to Kruger, or perhaps you've even been to the Sabi Sands. So you might even have seen this animal before, but you might have been on a real live safari. So there are people here. There are guests that come and see these animals. Brooke, you wanted to know if we ever have to save any animals and how do we do it? Brooke, the answer to that is yes, occasionally we have had to. I've had to as well. Now it depends, it's a difficult one. So we can't save an animal in a situation where it's part of nature. So let's say we see the lions hunting buffalo. We can't interfere there and save the buffalo because that's nature, that's how it works. And the same thing actually if an animal gets sick with a natural disease or something similar. But if an animal has been hurt by a human being in a horrible case, let's say perhaps it's been caught in a bushmeat snare, maybe something else has happened to it, then absolutely we will save them. What we do is we call in a vet, and often the vets need our help to try and find the animal again. And the vet will come in with a very special dart gun that he uses to shoot anesthetic into the animal so that the animal goes to sleep and we are able to go and treat it. Now it can be quite dangerous. Sometimes the animal doesn't go quite to sleep. If they're hurt, then they might be afraid. I can see the animal. Hold on, I'm going to show you your surprise. One of my favorite animals, and I'm sure many of you enjoy them as well. Look at that. A magnificent male leopard. This is the first time I've ever seen this particular leopard. And isn't he magnificent? He is rumored to be one of the biggest leopards that is currently in this area. In fact, in the whole of the Sabi Sand, it's thought that he is the biggest leopard here. His name is Anderson, and he is massive. So going back to treating the animal, we will dart it and then treat it. The vet will treat it. Now, Jenny, you wanted to know if any animals will eat their own kids. And no, very, very seldom. So what will happen is only in a situation where a female is absolutely desperate, if she's starving, there's a chance that she might eat her own babies, particularly with predators. But that hardly ever happens out here. But a big male leopard can be a serious threat to young leopard cubs. If he hasn't mated with the female, with the mother of the cubs, then he's not sure whether or not those cubs are his, and therefore he will kill her to be able to mate with her and to produce his own cubs. The same goes for lions as well, which is why those young Tsalala males that we saw earlier, the young male lions, that's why they've had such a hard life as well, because they're just young enough that they would have been in trouble if a male coalition had come in. So male lions often kill cubs that are not their own. So whilst it's not a case of the animal killing their babies, it does happen that, for example, a leopard will kill leopard cubs and a lion will kill lion cubs. Isabella, you wanted to know why did I want to become a game ranger, and I personally think I have one of the best jobs in the world to be able to look at incredible creatures like this. Isabella, I actually always wanted to become a vet, But I'm really, really allergic to animals, so that was something that I decided when I was 18 that I couldn't do. I look back on it now and I think maybe I could have done it and that I just got scared, but I did manage to get the next best thing in terms of being able to spend time out here in the bush. So when I was 8, I went on a trip to the rhino camp in Lapalali, and I got to hand feed a black rhino that they had rescued, and I got to go on walks with rhino. And from the earliest age, from when I was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, I've always felt happiest when I'm out here in the bush. It's like I'm more myself in this particular place than I am anywhere else. I'm happiest here, I feel most peaceful here, and I always knew I wanted to work out here, and that's how it worked. And Jamie, hey, we share the same name. Jamie watches Animal Planet, and I'm so glad you're on board with us, Jamie. You watch Animal Planet and want to know why leopards hide in trees. So, although this is a massive leopard, he is still one of the smallest predators out here. A lion is much, much bigger, and even a hyena is probably about equal size. So leopards hide in trees because they are the best climbers, and it means that they can escape from other predators, because other predators will often aim to either steal a leopard's food or, in the case of a lion, actually try and catch and kill them so that there's less competition. So what a leopard will do, what a leopard is really good at doing, is actually grabbing its food that it's caught, a kill, and taking it up into a tree. Now, Anderson actually has a kill here, but before we look too closely, we're not going to go too close in, but he's got a warthog carcass up in the top of the tree, so we're just going to have a brief look at that. That's his food. It's basically like he's put it in a pantry, and now it's out of the way of any scavengers that might come through, because nothing can climb as well as a leopard can climb. Lions can climb a little bit, but not nearly as well as a leopard. So what he's done a very clever thing. He's moved his food off the ground, and now he knows he can sleep peacefully without anything coming to steal it from him. And don't forget, just talking about hyenas, don't forget that just because they do feed off or they do scavenge doesn't mean that they don't hunt, and they don't deserve that horrible reputation they have. They're actually amazing animals. We're going to sit here with this incredible male leopard for now. Let's jump on board with Stef and see what he's up to on his walk.
Now, with us being on foot over here, as you can see, lying down on the sand, you're obviously asking, what am I scared of? And one of the things that I'm scared of most out here is a mommy lioness and her cubs, or a mommy leopard and her cubs. And we've got some very fresh tracks here of a lioness with her babies, and I want to try and show you them. This is mommy's track. Here it is here. That's a mommy lion track. They've got 4 toes. 1 toe, 2, 3 and 4, and then there is the back of the pad. So if you open up your hand, what we're looking at is the tips of the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the back of the pad here. Now, where I have 2 lobes on the back of my pad, if I had to put my hand down in the sand, I have 2 lobes. A lion has 3. All right? And this is her baby's track right here. That is a baby lion track. Isn't that amazing? So we've got mom here, and we've got baby here. And now I need to stand up so that I can make sure that they're not hunting me. But anyway, we're going to send you back over to that lovely male leopard with Jamie.
We're still with this amazing male leopard, and look at how full he is. He's had a really good breakfast, just like the lions we were with earlier. And you can see, remember what we were talking about? You were asking about why the lions were breathing like that. See that Anderson is breathing like that as well. He is also panting. That's generally what you see when predators have had a big meal. Now, Montana, you wanted to know, why do I say, wow, look at those teeth. You wanted to say why I said that leopards are so shy. Now, leopards are an interesting animal. They have learned that the thing that makes them so successful is that they have learned to be secret and solitary, and they like to hide in dense vegetation. A leopard, often you can walk right past a leopard and it will stay hidden. It won't get aggressive or try and run away. It just relies on its camouflage. That's why leopards can be very, very shy. Now, Anderson apparently, despite his enormous size, is actually quite shy, which is why we're very careful to give him plenty of space. But this morning, for example, Montana, because leopards can get used to people, this morning I walked right next to a leopard called Karula, and she was fine. Newsy, you wanted to know, oh, he's up. Oh, wait, I think he's just lying down again. You wanted to know why leopards' ears move. So, actually, once upon a time, human beings could move their ears as well, and all of the animals do it. If you ever go, perhaps you have pet dogs or cats, or maybe you have friends with pet dogs or cats, look at the way that their ears function. So the ears are built to amplify the sound, so they make every sound bigger and direct it into the inner ear itself. And what that means is that he can move his ears around to choose which direction he's listening in, making sure that he can listen in every possible sound. So one ear might be listening in front of him, and the other ear might be turned back towards us and listening towards us. That's why leopards can move their ears, and you'll see it in all mammal species, or most mammal species. They can actually move their ears around. Now he has been moving his ears quite a lot today, and that's because it's really, really windy, which means that all of the leaves and the sticks blowing around, he has to listen to and make sure that it's not an animal coming to sneak up on him. Okay, we've only got a few short minutes and he's turned his back on us, so come, let's reposition and get a slightly different view before we have to say goodbye to you all. I'm so excited. This is the first time I've seen this leopard, and it's always very, very exciting getting to know different ones. Anastasia, you want to know if we send any animals to the zoo, and no, we don't. We don't send any animals to the zoo. There's no need to take our wild animals out of the wild here. The zoos have enough access to breeding programs and other animals from other zoos. They don't need to take any wild animals from here. And don't you think that's right? Don't you think that an animal that lives here in the wild, that enjoys all of the freedom of the wild, don't you think it deserves to stay here? I think so. Well, unfortunately, it is time for me to say goodbye to you all. So we're leaving you with this one last view of the leopard. So a big thank you to all of the Safari Live team involved, to the school for joining us. I hope you had a wonderful time. Enjoy the rest of your school day. And to all of our regular viewers, I'm so glad that we managed to get Anderson on camera. I hope you've had a marvelous sunrise safari, and we will catch up with you this afternoon. For now, though, goodbye and enjoy your day and this view of the spectacular Anderson Male.